Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to XDefiant. You guys knew this video was coming. We have to talk about the matchmaking within this game because we were all very speculative, right? How would XDefiant be at launch? What were the servers going to feel like? How was the lack of skill-based matchmaking going to feel? And in general, how was XDefiant going to go once it was finally released and the servers eventually started working? Well, the answer is holy hell, the game feels incredible. It, honest to goodness, feels like old school COD to me in terms of how the matchmaking feels. Now, when it comes to the game itself, it's different, right? It's a different game, different engine, different developers, different guns, different recoil patterns, different hit detection, different netcode, different everything. A lot of people going into this were a bit disappointed to find out that indeed XDefiant is not Call of Duty. It's not going to have that same feel. It's going to be completely different. The same way Battlefield feels different than COD, the same way Apex feels different than Warzone, XDefiant is a different game. And for some people, that adjustment has been a lot. For other people, it has not been that big of a deal, and they're just straight tearing things up right away, and they're having an absolute blast. I'm happy to say I am one of those people. I was so surprised as to how good XDefiant felt on launch day once the servers eventually got stabilized and once people were actually able to get in. I think it took like 2 or 3 hours, something sad like that, between when the game initially launched and when the game was actually playable for people. But once the servers stabilized and people were able to jump on, they were met with a matchmaking experience that is a lot like what COD used to feel like. I'm not even joking, and I have the stats and everything was live streamed. It's all there for you guys to go watch over on my Twitch. The Twitch name is same as YouTube. It's Near Cinema. I streamed for what, 4.5, 5 hours, something like that. I think I played about 30 total games. Actually, I know exactly how many games I played. I played 28 because I didn't lose a single one of them. In 4.5 hours, I did not lose once. I had over a 2 KD while playing the objective hard. Not a single loss. Not even one. I was playing solo for a bit, then I joined up with my friend Tate and his buddies, so there was 3 of us, then eventually there was 4 of us. Eventually we had a full party at one point, I think, then went back down to having only 3 of us, or whatever it was. You know, so party size was changing, a couple matches were solo. Didn't matter. I did not lose a single game. I have yet to lose an XDefiant, over a 2 KD, really high score per minute, always playing the objective, always trying to win, running around with whatever it is I feel like running around with, whether it's the AK-47 or the ACR. I like the P90, the MP5, I don't know, man. I might just need more attachments for it. I'm not a big fan of the MP5, using the double barrel shotgun, the M44 Mosin Nagant sniper rifle. Like, it didn't matter what I was using. I was winning the vast majority of my gunfights. I was having a ridiculously fun time. The servers themselves were unstable at times, which we will be discussing, but overall, the matchmaking within XDefiant being solely based on your connection and your party size made the experience feel incredible. I genuinely felt like I was in a time machine going back to like 2010 here, where matchmaking was not specifically designed to make me not want to play the game. Instead, I got in there based on my connection, I ran around, I had fun, and again, did not lose a single game. I am yet to lose a game of XDefiant. Now, I posted that to Twitter, and it got like 200,000 views or something like that, and there was a bunch of people coming out of the woodwork to say that XDefiant's a terrible game. I wish I got your lobbies. My bullet registration isn't working. This game's terrible. It just feels clunky. And I'm having a hard time disputing any of that because the experiences that I've had are so polar opposite of the experiences of these people that I'm reading on social media and on YouTube comments. There's a couple review videos already out and people are discussing everything. I'm having a hard time understanding their point of view because my experiences have been so polar opposite different. And the gameplay you guys are watching here, I think, is a great example of that. You notice the people on the other team. This is actually pretty similar to a COD lobby if you think about it. There's like 3 people on the other team with TTV in their name. There's that February guy. Like, you guys know what sweaty names look like. And you watch them move around like they're sliding and they're trying to jump shots. Very clear these people have scuff controllers and everything, but they can't shoot. And that's kind of the thing. I think one of the biggest problems for so many people when it comes to XDefiant is this game very deliberately does not have as much aim assist as a game like COD, and as such, the game is not doing the aiming for you. You have to actually stay on target, you have to actually get used to the controls, and you have to actually be good at the game for you to do well. It sounds douchebaggy. I completely acknowledge that, but I have been doing YouTube here for going on 13 years. Believe it or not, I'm pretty competent in shooter games, and so a lot of these problems that people are having, I'm not having because it's okay. I don't have as much aim assist as I do on COD. Whatever, I can still aim because I know how to play shooter games. I feel like a lot of the frustration coming from the player base right now is the fact that they're not immediately dominating. It's a game that does not have a ton of aim assist, and there is 0 skill-based matchmaking, and they're not doing well. Well, obviously, they have to look for something to blame. In Call of Duty, there's a million things to blame, most notably skill-based matchmaking and how the algorithm is specifically designed to screw you over. None of that is here in XDefiant, and so As humbly as I can say, if you're not doing well, then it's probably a skill issue. Although I will say the servers have not been perfect throughout the first day of the game being out. Here's a couple of examples. You guys knew this was coming. The servers in general felt much better than what we had during the last couple playtests where people were dying around corners quite often. I would say in my 4.5 hours of streaming the game that call it like 3, maybe 4 times that I can vividly remember where I was way around the corner and I still somehow died. And I'm starting to suspect that maybe it's not even necessarily the servers as it may be an issue with some of the maps themselves, because I notice a lot of these issues happen on the same maps. Echelon is notorious, at least for me, for dying around corners because there's so much cover on that map. And then Showtime, oddly enough, there's not even really that much cover on Showtime, but I do notice a lot of the time I end up dying around corners on Showtime as well. Then occasionally it happens on Noodleplex or some random map or whatever, but in general, the servers have felt so much better for me personally with the full launch of the game. I was playing on US East the entire time, and the people in my party when I was playing, they were from all over. One guy was from Florida, one guy was from Michigan, the other guy, my buddy Tate, he just moved down to Texas. And so we got Texas, Michigan, Florida, and Pennsylvania all there in a party together, but we're still connecting to US East and we're just running around having fun. A buddy of mine, Jet, lives in California, and he was on our servers, which the ping was not nearly that good. And I think that's going to be the difference between XDefiant servers and Call of Duty servers. People are asking me, Nero, is it common for you to have like 50, 60 ping in the game? I'm like, no, it's only on XDefiant do I get that high a ping. When I play COD, it's usually 20 to 30 ping. But I will also say at the very top there, you see those little icons next to the server I'm on, next to my FPS and all that. When those light up, that means something has happened. And I wish they would just straight up tell you like in the UI instead of having icons. But the icon on the left means packet burst. And as you can see, it never really happens. There's like no packet burst with the XDefiant servers as compared to the COD servers, which seemingly always have packet burst, at least for me personally. So connectivity has not really been an issue. Is my ping higher? For sure. It's a little bit higher than it is on COD, but it's not unplayably bad by any stretch of the imagination. And the ping that I have is pretty much similar to the ping that everybody else in the lobby is going to have, because again, no skill-based matchmaking means everybody is getting into that server based on their connection, and then a couple of other factors, which of course the XDefiant team was completely transparent about. That right before the game even came out, they told us exactly how matchmaking was going to work in casual playlists. There's no skill parameters in here whatsoever. It's just literally your connection, your input, and your party size, because if you're playing in a party, you're going to be playing against other parties most of the time, because that's just good game design, at least in my opinion. So what do you say about a game like XDefiant right now? Well, obviously it's in its very infantile stages. There's still a bunch of missing features, and I'm hoping that they address that in the relatively near future. So far, similar to Sledgehammer Games, the XDefiant team has been pretty transparent with the community, so I would like to know about things like prestige mode, what plans they may have for something like a combat record, how they're going to be handling challenges and updates going forward. Stuff like that hopefully will come out with time, but for right now, the game as we have it is barely 24 hours old, and for me personally, it's feeling incredible. There's a couple of things that could be skewing that, obviously. I think the fact that I'm a YouTuber and therefore I played every single playtest extensively definitely skews things to my advantage, at least a little bit. I was talking about that in my stream yesterday. You know, we're playing Domination. We're at the very beginning of our win streak there. You know, we're like 10 or 11 wins in a row, and I'm running around. I'm like, you know what just hit me? This is essentially a new game, right? It's a full launch of a brand new game, but I already know every single map like pretty well. I'm not learning these maps. I'm not learning these guns or anything. And I think for some people, that learning curve is what's turning them off the game. Because again, when you hear the game has no skill-based matchmaking in it, when you hear it's going to be a free-to-play title, when you hear that things like aim assist aren't nearly as powerful, therefore it's your actual input as a player that is going to determine more of your outcomes, when they hear all of that and they're not immediately successful, then they're going to get pissed off at the game. They're going to say it's terrible, this, that, and the other, and try to get other people to agree with them. I think a lot of those guys that are struggling with XDefiant right now just need to keep on playing. Mark Rubin even literally tweeted about me yesterday because he was watching one of my videos, and I gave people this advice. In my video, I said, when it comes to how the game feels, right? When it comes to your aiming and just sticking on your target and everything, it's going to feel different at first. For sure, it's a new game, it's a different engine, different everything. The big thing is set your sensitivity, set your dead zones for your controller, set everything up the way that you want it or the way you think you're going to want it, and then just keep it there. Don't be adjusting your sensitivity constantly after every match. Don't be always adjusting your dead zones. Don't be trying to move around your little multiplier speed aim thing, whatever the settings are. Don't be messing with all that shit, basically. Just leave it pretty much as is. Get your sensitivity somewhere where it feels good for you. Get your button layout the way you want it, and then just play with it and play with it and play with it, and eventually it's going to feel natural. And that's what Mark Rubin was talking talking about. Like, it's going to take a little bit, but once you just get used to the controls, it's going to feel natural. For me personally, I'm already there. It already feels natural. And for a lot of people that played a bunch of the previous playtests, we already know a good number of the guns and we already know a good number of the maps. So for us, we're jumping into this essentially new game, having already known what's going to be in the new game. And therefore, we're running around, we're having fun. But for other people, if they're getting used to that lack of aim assist, when they're getting used to the movement, when they're getting used to the new maps and exploring them and where the domination points are and where the objectives are and just how the different factions work, it can be a lot to take in. And I think right now it's a bit of an ego hit for a lot of people because they know intellectually that they should be able to dominate in a game without skill-based matchmaking because they feel like they're that good of a player, but they haven't yet put the time in to actually learn X-Defiant. They think they can just take their COD skills, jump into the game, start slide canceling around the map, and take everybody out. But that's not the case because they have to learn how to win gunfights without a ton of aim assist. They have to learn the recoil patterns and all these new guns. They have to learn the sight lines on the maps, and because they're not immediately dominating, they're trying to bash the game. They're trying to say, oh, it's terrible, it's just a COD clone, the graphics are shitty, the gunplay is terrible, my hit registration. And maybe there is something to be said about the hit registration. The servers are not exactly ideal and pristine at the very launch of the game. They're definitely trying to work on that, but I think in general, it's not just hit detection every single game that's causing you to lose. It's more likely you going from having tons of aim assist, like in a game like COD, to not having nearly as much aim assist, and that transition has not been completely smooth for you. I don't know what to say, guys. Overall, X-Defiant has been freaking incredible. It's been awesome. It's been everything I wanted it to be. Obviously, there's missing features. I discussed that in my video yesterday. But in terms of the core gameplay, which is the whole focus of this video, like the core gameplay and the matchmaking, I could not be happier. I genuinely could not be happier because it feels like all the time and effort that I've put in as a player over the course of the past 17 years are paying off when I play this game. Like, I'm not being gimped by matchmaking. The servers aren't giving me tons of packet bursts. There's none of that nonsense, none of that bullshit, right? It's just pure, raw gunplay with the X-Defiant. Obviously, there's abilities, you have to work around that, similar to Black Ops 4, but in general, it's pure, raw gunplay, and I'm having an absolute blast with it as these people are trying to slide cancel and jump and dive all across the map and everything, but they can't even aim. It's funny to me, man. It takes me back to like 2010. I feel like I'm playing a game like Black Ops 1 again, where the matchmaking is solely based on your connection, and if you're a good player, you're just going to do well. That's just how that works. Same with the original Modern Warfare 2, same with a game like Black Ops 2, same with the OG Modern Warfare 3, like all those games. You know, it feels like that again. It feels infinitely better matchmaking-wise than what COD feels like, and I'm very, very hopeful that this game is going to be successful as a result of its matchmaking system, and I'm hoping that as a result, Activision and Microsoft make changes to their matchmaking system because of all the positive feedback that X-Defiant gets. That is what I'm hoping happens. I'm hoping that X-Defiant has a long, steady lifespan and we can continue to enjoy the game for months and years ahead, but I'm also hoping that COD gets better as a result because let's be honest, COD has not had a lot of competition in recent years, and now that it finally does have some, and the biggest selling point is getting rid of the most hated feature that COD has, that could potentially mean good things for COD going forward, but we're gonna have to wait and see. But guys, that's it for this video here today. These are just like my early first impressions of the matchmaking here with the X-Defiant. Again, literally never lost, not even once, over a 2KD, you know, playing the objective really hard. Like, it's everything I wanted the game to be. It really is, and I'm excited to hop back on and stream more of it tonight. So if you guys want to hang out, it's twitch.tv/NearCinema. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave your thoughts and feedback on X-Defiant's launch down there in the comments. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.